Critical Mash.
So Sony just announced a PlayStation State of Play for this Thursday, February 12th, and I couldn't be more excited. It's going to be an hour long, and they're just going to have a great chance to reveal everything they have cooking. So in this video, I'm going to be going into my predictions, both realistic and crazy, for what I expect from this Thursday's State of Play. So starting with PlayStation's first-party studios, I think Santa Monica has a lot to show. There's that heavily rumored 2D Metroidvania God of War game that's been rumored for at least a year now, and I'm not sure if it's being developed in-house at Santa Monica or if it's being off-sourced to an outside studio, but I am excited to see more on that. I think it'll be a breath of fresh air for the God of War franchise, and it will set us up to get excited for whatever our next mainline entry is as well. I don't think that game is ready to be revealed just quite yet, but they might even tease it with a reveal of this new 2D game. Outside of God of War though, I think they'll be able to show off whatever Cory Barlog has cooking with his new, it's not quite a new IP, but it's going to be returning to a former PlayStation franchise, but they've said it's going to feel like a new IP. And so I think this will be a great opportunity for them to show that off, and I also think it will be a great opportunity for the wider library of PlayStation exclusives to have an offering that isn't just a typical third-person kind of cinematic AAA action-adventure, whatever you want to call it, game. Maybe they'll try something still AAA, but new and fresh, and really make it that much more desirable within the wider library of PlayStation 5 games. Either way, I'm excited to see what Santa Monica has cooking. Next, I definitely think we're going to get a new trailer from Insomniac for Wolverine, and we're definitely going to get a release date with that. The game looks incredible so far, and knowing how well the Spider-Man games have performed and how many Marvel fans there are out there, they're definitely going to want to line this up as a holiday release. In terms of other things to be expected, I think we're definitely going to get at least a trailer for Marathon. It's coming out in March, and while it hasn't gotten a great rap overall, I think people are starting to warm up to it a little more, and Sony is really hoping to turn the tides around with the narrative surrounding that game in the community once it releases in March. And they don't want to spend too much time on it though, but I think we'll at least get something. And then we'll also likely get a new trailer for Housemarque's Saros, which is also coming out soon. Again, I don't think they're going to linger on it for too long, but they're definitely going to focus on it at least a little. My next prediction is I think we're finally going to hear from the team at Media Molecule. They have been tight-lipped since they ceased development on Dreams on the PS4, and I don't think Dreams quite went as Sony had hoped. We didn't even get a native PS5 version of it, and it didn't quite reach the level of virality that I think Sony wanted it to achieve. Like, it's an incredible engine for people with no game design experience to be able to unleash their wildest creativity, but it just didn't land in the community. It didn't last. And based on how Sony has been, and the industry at large has been treating developers lately, I think Media Molecule really has one more chance to find success before they find themselves on Sony's chopping block. But I think with the creativity that that team has, they'll be able to make great use out of the PS5 hardware and come up with something really unique and fun that stands apart from the crowd. As I have already mentioned, I think there are just way too many third-person games within Sony's AAA lineup, and Media Molecule would build on what they've started with Astrobot and just build that creativity, that unique difference from third person even further. I don't think they're going to continue the Little Big Planet franchise at this time or go to something else like Tearaway. I think it's time for a new IP. Next up is Bend Studio, and I think there's really two likelihoods here. They're either working on a return to Siphon Filter or they're working on a new IP, and either would be welcome in my books. I think out of Sony's major developers, one problem that they've run into time and time again during the PS5 generation is that it's too much of a continuation of the PlayStation 4. Lots of the major releases like Horizon, God of War, Spider-Man, they all play exactly like their predecessors did. Sure, the graphics are updated, but they build upon the foundations of their predecessors. And PlayStation 5 needs more fresh, more unique, I mean, I've said this twice already, but I'm going to keep saying it. It just needs new experiences to differentiate it as a generation. And whether it's a new IP or a new siphon filter, that will fill that void on the PS5. We haven't had a siphon filter release in years, and I'm sure whatever they're working on as a new IP would have that same impact. I'm really torn whether we see fair games from Haven Studios at this point in time. I'm leaning towards no, because I think it would make more sense for Sony to wait until after Marathon's release and show people that they can still handle a well-developed quality title for a online multiplayer or live service type of release, and then build off of that hype following Marathon, if they're able to turn the narrative around, to get more people excited for fair games. If they reveal it now, it might have a negative effect for both Marathon and fair games, where it just brings both down, and so I don't think it's the time. So the big question on my mind is whether or not we're going to see Naughty Dog during this presentation, and I'm leaning towards a yes. I think they're at least going to show off a teaser for Intergalactic to ease fan worries after reports came out that they were missing internal development deadlines. I think it'll be important for them not to stay silent and to at least show something. It doesn't need to be big, but it needs to be something to ease those worries and make people confident that this isn't going to be pushed for another generation even, because we're getting to that point where if it gets delayed by a year or two, it might be a PlayStation 6 release instead of a PlayStation 5 one. Most people wouldn't believe it based on Sony's support for the system, but the PSVR 2 is still an actively supported piece of hardware, and I think we're going to see at least 3 games get revealed for it. That's my prediction, just 3 games. I think the first one is going to be support for Microsoft Flight Simulator, which has already been announced. I think the second one will tie into a new trailer for Ace Combat 8. And then my third prediction for the PSVR 2 is just going to be a non-flight related game. I don't care what it is, but if the other 2 are flight related, I think we should see a non-flight related game as well. PlayStation has a huge library of underutilized IPs that need to come back, and so for a big surprise, I'm predicting that PlayStation will reveal either a remake of Wild Arms or The Legend of Dragoon. This would appeal to a different side of their fan base, to JRPG fans, and it would help liven up that library as well, freshen it up with titles that aren't just third-person action-adventure games, as we've said time and time again already. But I think this would break the internet. Either one of these would just be really exciting, it would be really fresh, and it would be great to just bring these series back from the dead. Can open the door for potential sequels, get new fans on board, and appeal to the original fans as well. Alright, so let's get into some of those third-party predictions. Starting with Capcom, I think it's a no-brainer that we're going to see Resident Evil Requiem and Pragmata. They just need to remind people that these are coming out soon. It can just be small trailers, but these are definitely going to be there. They want to sell copies and they're coming out soon. I also think that Onimusha is going to resurface with a release date. It was originally supposed to come out this year, and we haven't heard anything about it in a while, so I definitely think we're going to see Onimusha. And then I also think it's time for Devil May Cry to come back. Devil May Cry 5 was a huge deal when it released on the PS4. It's still one of Capcom's top sellers whenever they have quarterly reports, and I'm not sure why they've waited so long to develop 6. It may be because that team focused on Dragon's Dogma 2, but I think it's time for them to refocus on Devil May Cry, and we're going to see it here. I don't have an awful lot to predict for Square Enix, however they do have 2 massive releases in the pipeline right now. There's Kingdom Hearts 3, and then the third game in the Final Fantasy VII Remake series. And while both of these would be massive if they were included in the State of Play, I also think that they're both large enough to have their own event or their own presentation to reveal more. I know Square has done it with the other games in the Final Fantasy VII Remake series, and I'm not sure if they would want to take the spotlight away and share it with other releases during a State of Play. However, if they were included, it would be legendary. Bandai Namco is kind of a fun one. I definitely think we're going to see the return of Ace Combat 8 and get a release date for it. I think it's going to be compatible with PSVR 2, and I think, like Ace Combat 7, it's going to be a very strong seller. However, I think that Bandai Namco is ready to come back with some more ports and remasters of former Japan Studios games. It's a no-brainer to do this during a PlayStation event, and I think this will kind of give those dedicated longtime Sony fans the releases that they're looking for. I don't know what these releases will be at this point, but I do think it'll be older than the PS4 generation because you can already play PS4 games on the PS5. So for example, if they re-released Gravity Rush, it would make no difference because you can already play Gravity Rush remastered on the PS5. So Xbox throws a bit of a wild card into the mix. We wouldn't have been predicting this a year or two ago, but they've been bringing a lot of their titles over to the PlayStation. Forza Horizon 6 is coming up soon, and we're still waiting to hear more details on the Halo remake. I think it could be awesome if they showcased the Halo remake even more here and gave it a release date. Just imagine Halo during a PlayStation presentation. But beyond that, I think Sea of Thieves is a great candidate for a game that's extremely popular and hasn't been ported to PlayStation yet. Beyond that, there are a few Xbox franchises that would greatly appeal to PlayStation fans. I think the first two would be Lost Odyssey and Blue Dragon. If they could just port or remaster these games to the PlayStation, I think they'd have a chance of selling even greater than they originally did on the Xbox 360, and it would just breathe new life into these series. I believe Xbox holds the IP rights to both of these games, and they're just kind of stuck in place right now. It would be great to see them re-released, and I'm sure the PlayStation community would love them. The other prediction I'd like to make is a certain purple dragon that has historically been on PlayStation consoles and is now owned by Xbox. And that dragon's name is Spyro, of course. Toys for Bob has been working on a project with an Xbox IP for a couple years now, and I think it's time to reveal that project, and there's no better time to do that than during a PlayStation presentation. Not sure how it's going to look, not sure how it's going to feel, but I think Spyro's coming back, and he's coming back to PlayStation as well. I also have to address the nasty elephant in the room, which is Ubisoft. I feel like you poke Ubisoft with a stick, and you're like, come on, do something cool, and then they lay off half of their workforce. But in all seriousness, I think they have been teasing a Rayman development of some kind. It's the series' 30th anniversary, and it would be great to see a new entry or a remake. I also think it would be cool to see a remake that has a new spin on an older title, like remaking Rayman 1 as a 3D platformer instead of a 2D platformer. Rayman has been 2D in its last couple of releases going back over a decade, and it would be great to see it have a return to form in 3D. 3D platformers have also been having kind of a resurgence, and so I think it would be easier to market a 3D Rayman game than a 2D one at this point in time. The last point I'd like to make is that Konami, please give us Castlevania again. You've been reviving many of your other series with Metal Gear Solid and Silent Hill, but it's time to bring Castlevania back. This could even be someone like Inti Creates making a retro-styled Castlevania just to kind of ease them back into it, but we need to see Castlevania again. There are so many cool things they can do with this franchise. The Netflix show has been popular for years. I'm not sure why we haven't seen this yet, but it's definitely time. So those are my predictions for this Thursday's PlayStation State of Play. I'm really excited to see how it shakes up and if it will live up to my expectations. I mean, it's going to be an hour long, so it better. But let me know down in the comments what you're expecting. And as always, thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.
Thanks for watching Critical Mash.